And now it's time to present the Ileana Ros-Lehtinen International Leadership Award.
It is so just and appropriate that the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute is honoring Ygimantas Pavilionis. Siggy, my dear friend, is one of the people who I most admire in the world. I remember when I met him, I was in Congress. He was in the Foreign Service, diplomatic corps of his country, of Lithuania. And he had just been given in his portfolio the responsibility for the community of democracy that Lithuania was beginning to preside at that time. And I remember he came to my office in Washington. We had a discussion. He had as one of his objectives for the presidency of the community of democracy, the creation of a parliamentary forum, a forum of democratic parliaments within the community of democracy. We talked about that, and he held the first meeting, and he invited me to that first meeting in the parliament in Vilnius, in Lithuania, in 2010, and it was my great honor to be there. After he successfully carried through that task of the community of democracies with the Lithuanian presidency, he was made ambassador of Lithuania to Washington, to the United States of America. And his task was extraordinary. It was a historic ambassadorship where he represented Lithuania and the cause of freedom in a truly extraordinary way. I remember during those years being able to deepen my friendship with Siggy Pavilionis. And then after, he resigned from the diplomatic service of his country, and he went into politics. He ran for office, and he found another way to serve as a member of parliament in Lithuania. And today he is the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Lithuanian Parliament, of the Seimas, the Lithuanian Parliament. Every day, holding high the values that personify and define the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute. Human rights, respect for diversity of thought, respect for the opposition, vehement opposition to violence against those with whom we disagree. If there's anybody who personifies the values of democracy and carries forth a mission to promulgate and expand human rights and fight against oppression wherever it exists, that personification is in Ygimantas Pavilionis. And so we are so honored to be able to honor him today. And how appropriate I think it is that the board of directors of CHLI unanimously voted to bestow Ygimantas Pavilionis with our Ileana Ros-Lehtinen International Leadership Award, which recognizes leaders in the international community precisely like Ygimantas Pavilionis. So Siggy's, from the bottom of my heart, and I know I speak for everyone at CHLI, congratulations. For us, it is an honor to be able to honor you.
Thank you so much, Lincoln, my brother that I'm always calling you, and other friends like you in Washington, D.C. I'm really humbled and honored with this award, and I will try to explain you why. I know that we have time limitations, but I want to, go through 3 centuries. This year in my region, we are commemorating 270th anniversary of the first written constitution in Europe, approved by my nation, by Poles and Belarusians, because we did it, actually, to be honest, inspired by American Constitution, first in Europe. And in 2-3 years, our American or empire, you could say, or the European Union of the Middle Ages, like John Paul II was calling us, was destroyed by autocracies. From that day, we had common generals and freedom fighters who've been fighting for our common freedom, like General Tadeusz Kościuszko, whose monument is standing in front of the White House. He is a Lithuanian general born in Belarus, and he was fighting for our freedom and yours. So from those days, we're standing on one side of the barricade. America never recognized our Soviet occupation. My embassy building, in which we were having great Cuban freedom parties together, was functioning for 50 years of occupation, when my ambassadors had no state, no salary, no nothing except of American recognition. And I still remember, President Reagan and John Paul II starting that fight against communism. I still remember President Bush landing in Vilnius in 2002 after his courageous fight for our membership in NATO, when he said the words that every Lithuanian will never forget. From this day in 2002, every enemy of Lithuania is the enemy of the United States. And today, after a lot of years in NATO and EU, we stand together with you, Lincoln, and America on the same frontiers of freedom. We fight for freedom and democracy in Belarus and Cuba and Venezuela. We fight against Russian aggression in Ukraine and Georgia, and fight for NATO membership of those countries. We fight for freedom in Russia and China and Taiwan. So, at the end of my little exception speech, I would like to say, I deliberately mentioned you as brother, because my dream is to have this personal link that I have with you and your community of freedom fighters between our states, between Lithuania and America, between Europe and America. It should be a brotherhood of people and nations who fight for freedom. I did a lot for Lithuania's accession to EU and NATO. So we more or less did it in Central Europe and Baltic states. But Europe, whole and free, is in danger right now. We are attacked by autocracies for the last 15 years, and we fail. So let's restore this brotherhood. And till the end of my own lifetime, I have a dream, to celebrate freedom in free and democratic Cuba, in free and democratic Belarus, in Ukraine and Georgia as NATO member state. And I will finally end with a very strange, and maybe sometimes people say crazy and radical statement Mark Palmer made in my own embassy. Mark Palmer was a speechwriter of Reagan Westminster speech. He raised a toast and he said, Žygis, let's drink for the dream of the world free from autocracies. Autocracies should be banned by international law.
Yes.
I was then kind of shocked with this statement, but to be honest, I'm thinking about it every day. I think we must do it. We should do it. At least we should try to expand this American dream, because for me, America is not the state. It's an idea to as large region as possible, and finally end with this, end with those atrocities, inhumanities, humiliations, killings and poisonings and imprisonings that are all around us. And I think we can do it. So thank you again. Thank you, Lincoln, for inspiring me to do it. Thank you so much, Ileana, for all the lessons we learned with you on the Hill and in my embassy. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Senator Menendez. Thank you, all brothers of freedom. Let's fight.
You inspire us.